Lena was a delightful young woman, just a few years older than my eldest daughter, who, at the age of 35, our paths had intersected only a handful of times amidst the lively gatherings hosted at the school where my wife devoted her time. I was keenly aware of the ongoing communication between her and my wife. Somehow, I had found myself ensnared in the tumultuous saga of Lena's divorce, piecing together the fragments of her story. Her former spouse surfaced as a paragon of self-centeredness and insensitivity, renowned for his engaged in reckless pursuits of other women during his work trips, and when the truth of his infidelity emerged, he defiantly, in a tempest of frustration, he shirked all responsibility, directing his gaze at Lena and unleashing accusations that pierced to the core. He asserted that she had not met his expectations in their relationship, suggesting that the intimacy had lost its spark, moments of warmth in her affection, and even the allure he once found captivating. In a cruel twist, he cast the blame for his own failures at her feet, as though her shortcomings were the very source of his discontent upon returning home. What drives me to share this with you? It's the Friday evening just before the excitement of deer season unfolds. Rather than following the familiar route to the cabin with my wife, I find myself on an unexpected journey, taking a different path altogether. To collect Lena. Nearly 12 years ago, my wife and I encountered an extraordinary opportunity to acquire 200 acres in Missouri. A vast woodland, alive with the grandeur of ancient oaks and the lofty presence of towering pines. An irresistible price. Since that moment, we have devoted countless hours to the art of crafting a cozy weekend cabin, carefully shaping ATV trails and converting the landscape into flourishing food plot regions for wildlife united in. With a clear purpose, we have transformed the land into an ideal sanctuary for deer hunting. This journey was intended to become a treasured experience. This year's ritual between my wife and me unfolded in a manner unlike any other as we settled down for dinner a few weeks ago. My wife delivered a shocking revelation. She would not be by my side for the opening weekend of hunting season. To engage in a crucial series of discussions regarding educational reform, she made her way to the state capitol, the place we affectionately referred to as the Big House. Though it was a source of pride for her, felt to me like a heavy burden pressing down, weighing heavily on my shoulders. Would typically have ventured into the wilderness alone, a solitary pursuit I had come to embrace. Numerous occasions have come and gone, yet following a minor cardiac incident earlier this year, my wife was unwavering in her unwavering insistence that I should not venture into the woods alone for the weekend, despite my fervent objections. Orchestrated for Lena to join me on her first hunting expedition, although she asserted her proficiency with the exhilaration of hunting deer had always slipped through her fingers. Oh, did I mention the fact that this all transpired on my birthday, and my wife would not be present for that moment? With that aside, let us return to the moment unfolded as I arrived at Lena's house, my finger pressing down on the horn, a sharp sound slicing through the stillness. In the stillness, I found myself departing from my usual restraint. This time, however, I had been instructed to make my presence known at the forefront. The door creaked open, and the cascade of light spilled forth, enveloping Lena in a luminous glow. She glowed as she emerged, burdened by an astonishing array of gear, and I embraced my role as her guide and mentor for the journey ahead. As the weekend unfolded, I emerged from the truck, prepared to lend a hand in loading her belongings, all the while observing her lively chatter, which was barely contained. The initial fracture and the flawless image. As the hour-long drive to the cabin unfolded, her voice cascaded like a relentless river, scratching the surface of thoughts and memories. Filling the atmosphere with an incessant flow of dialogue, she created a tempest of joy and exuberance. Energy enveloped the room, creating a stark contrast to the withdrawn and quiet figure my wife had depicted in the past. For a few months now, I have discovered no compelling reason to express my dissatisfaction. I would much rather her bright disposition amidst the somber atmosphere, especially considering we would be confined together in a tight hunting blind. 4 hours stretched endlessly as the clock chimed 9 p.m. We finally arrived at the cabin, the air heavy around us. With eager anticipation, I wasted no time immersing myself in the task of breathing life into the space, flicking on the power. The water flowed, igniting the heat. Each action resonated like a step deeper. As the night deepened, we ventured further into the heart of our adventure, the temperature steadily dropping, poised to linger at a brisk 50 degrees. Yet there was an inviting charm in the act of waking up to the welcoming embrace of a warm cabin, a sanctuary against the chill that, by 9:30, I lingered outside as the fire crackled to life in the wood stove. Waves of warmth flowed into the main room, wrapping the space in a cozy embrace as Lena settled into her loft, a new sanctuary, where she was deeply engaged in the meticulous task of arranging her gear for the dawn that awaited her as I sank into. In the cozy embrace of the great room, I switched on the satellite receiver, anticipation bubbling within me as I prepared to witness the final moments of a timeless classic. As the war movie flickered to life on the screen, a voice emerged from the shadows, asking, "May I step into the shower?" Loft above. "Of course," I said, recalling the moment I had shown her in the cabin's solitary bathroom. A small sanctuary lies tucked away in the shadows, meticulously crafted for optimal efficiency. Welcomed the cozy embrace of a wood stove, capturing the sun's energy, while a backup generator stood poised for action in the dim light. The bathroom revealed a captivating design, highlighted by two generous sliding doors. Two doors stood, one leading into the bedroom, the other opening to the great room. When drawn apart, they beckoned a gentle warmth to cascade through the space. Yet, when sealed shut, they cocooned the room in an intimate embrace of privacy. A surge of pride enveloped me as I admired its undeniable practicality. Deeply absorbed in the film, I was suddenly pulled from my reverie as Lena emerged from the shadows, gliding down the spiral staircase beside the sofa where I sat, my gaze irresistibly drawn to her presence. She walked by, wrapped in a towel, heading toward the bathroom without a word that clung to her form. With an air of subtle seduction, she glided toward the bathroom, the towel draping closely around her form as she navigated its edges. With each step, she felt her heart creeping higher as she neared the bathroom door. The delicate equilibrium of soap, shampoo, and towel hung by a thread, poised to tumble from her fingers. In a fluid gesture, she deftly closed the door behind her, narrowly escaping. It was a disaster, utterly absurd. I couldn't believe her ex would claim she wasn't captivating as I shook my head, attempting to banish the lingering image and re-engage with the film. The rush of the shower ignited a cascade of unwelcome thoughts as Lena stood there. Just beyond the door lies a mystery yearning to be unveiled. Her presence, a tantalizing enigma that ignites the imagination. Whispers in the night, was my mind playing tricks on me? I chastised myself, a harsh reminder reverberating in my thoughts. She was a friend of my wife, and my purpose here was to impart the skills of hunting, not to entertain any wayward thoughts. Yet her gentle melody floated through the walls. A spell was woven, tugging at my thoughts and pulling them into a realm of distraction. At last, the melody gradually dissolved into silence, leaving behind the gentle, unwavering sound of water flowing. I felt no worry for her. The hot water dwindled, the instant heater promised a continuous flow. Yet a spark of astonishment flared within me as I contemplated the duration of her absence, and a wave of relief enveloped me as she chose to take a shower tonight instead of earlier. Morning arrived, and her voice found me, low and unmistakably tinged with pleasure, reverberating gently through the delicate atmosphere. Bathroom walls closed in around me. The chilling awareness of what was unfolding sent my thoughts spiraling into chaos. What thoughts swirl in this tempest? Within the confines of my mind, I chastised myself yet again, grappling to concentrate on the flickering images that danced across the screen. What appeared to be an interminable passage of time, the water at last halted its unyielding cascade, and the well-known sound. As her gentle humming filled the air, the sound wrapped around me while she dried herself off, and my thoughts began to wander. A tempest of vibrant imagery ensnared by the contemplation of her presence in that private instant, completely unveiled. Indeed, you are right. My desires blaze intensely within me, an unyielding flame, driven by an unrelenting desire that frequently remains unsatisfied. My wife, on the other hand, appears to float through a realm unblemished by the same passions, leave me in a state of yearning that is both exhilarating and it is unjust to place the entire burden of blame on her, especially when the organs responsible for producing those essential hormones have been removed. The spark of desire drifts away, transforming into an elusive shadow that leaves behind a void difficult to grasp. This is indeed a struggle. That is mine, not hers. Our connection is profound, yet the burden of inequality lingers. The years have ignited a multitude of conflicts, yet we persist in our quest for a way forward, meticulously unraveling the steps ahead. Essential to spark her yearning for closeness more often, as the weeks pass and the tension builds. As night descends, the ritual of retiring to bed has evolved into a solitary affair. the quest for slumber eclipsing any trace of the closeness that once existed. In the air, she murmured, "Much better," as the door creaked open, stepping into the dim light with a towel draped around her. With a graceful movement, she glided partially across her body. As she approached me, my gaze was drawn toward the stairs. The towel clung to her chest, while another section was preoccupied, absorbing the humidity from her wet hair. The leftover fabric cascaded over the area between her legs, leaving her sides and back enticingly exposed as she climbed the stairs. Each step seemed to pull me in further, my eyes lingering on her nearly bare form. Despite my desperate attempts to avert my gaze, elicited a flicker of relief that washed over me as she ascended the stairs, vanishing from my view, leaving behind an unsettling silence. Your wife's invitation to come. Being out here holds immense significance for me. I believe I'm on the brink of an incredible experience, she proclaimed, her voice brimming with enthusiasm. As she descended the stairs once more, she donned a pair of tiny navy blue shorts paired with a cropped white top. She descended the stairs, her presence flirtatious yet modest, leaving just enough to the imagination. The words that sent a jolt through me, captivating my focus as she moved by with an intentional elegance, settled onto the sofa beside me, cradling what appeared to be an empty jar of peanut butter, its significance lingering in the air. The air between us was thick with anticipation. Tomorrow promises to be intriguing, I replied, a sense of unease creeping in. Shy isn't your usual demeanor. Is it a companion? She inquired, her voice imbued with a gentle warmth. I could do this elsewhere if you would prefer. What? Oh no, I'm not really shy, I replied, a flicker of confusion dancing in my eyes. Mind as I endeavored to comprehend her meaning, she whispered, her fingers moving silently. With a twist, the jar of peanut butter surrendered its lid, which clattered to the side, as a palpable sense of anticipation lingered in the air for a fleeting moment. That moment was both surprising and somehow destined. She adjusted her shirt, preparing to use the pump she brought along, her movements confident and familiar. I stood there, paralyzed, my breath caught in my throat as she meticulously began to express milk into the jar. Julia shared that you were a steadfast pillar of encouragement during her journey of breastfeeding all our children, while my husband found it utterly repulsive. We were, I replied, my gaze fixed on her bare skin, the moment laden with unspoken tension, a once cherished norm, embraced by many, a time when the act of breastfeeding was celebrated and once embraced, but now the currents have shifted, and it seems society is pulling back, casting shadows over this innate connection, transforming the journey of breastfeeding into a formidable path once again. The only way I can manage is by pumping milk while I'm at work, she continued, her voice tinged with determination. Julia, it was noted that you had previously assisted her with that matter, didn't you? Indeed, I had come to her aid in the task of extracting milk. On several occasions, I confessed. I bet she truly appreciated that, Raven whispered, leaning in closer as she poured more milk into the jar, her movements deliberate and imbued with purpose. She has always clung to the belief that someone would take that step for her. How I long for that, yet my husband never does do anything like that, I mumbled, my voice barely a whisper as she placed the jar down on the sofa between her legs. A swift motion, she drew her crop top over her head, leaving her entirely exposed above the waist, the air heavy with tension. Would you have the audacity? She joked about needing help with the pump, but I quickly changed the topic, I implored, a sense of urgency in my voice. Intrigue simmers beneath the surface, I'm certain Julia wouldn't object. Is it simply milk? Or is there something more lurking beneath the surface? A surge of doubt washed over me as I hesitated to fully commit, conscious that my wife would probably be horrified at the mere idea of me laying my hands on another woman's breasts, especially those of a friend she cherished deeply. Oh, I'm sure she wouldn't mind, Raven murmured, her voice a gentle whisper as she extended her hand. For the jar nestled between her legs, she leaned over my lap, her left arm slipping between the sofa arm and my leg. Your presence beside me conjured an unspoken tension that lingered in the atmosphere. There now, you can just reach over me and do my other side, she murmured, her voice a gentle invitation that lingered in the air. Raven, I began, my voice trembling with urgency, I can't let this happen. This isn't right. Oh, come on, it'll be fine. Just a gentle squeeze, and you'll get a little milk from my breast," she said. She urged, her voice infused with a blend of reassurance and intrigue. No, we're definitely not doing that. Linking the pieces, has it always been so clear? Anything like that, I mumbled, my heart racing at the audacity of her. The notion that the sensation was unlike anything I had ever experienced before escaped her lips. With a hint of wonder in her voice and a firm grip, I exhaled deeply, a silent wish escaping into the air. As the words slipped from my lips, I knew the secret would stay concealed from Julia. I began to trace her curves with intention. Every movement is imbued with purpose. Your hands possess a strength that is both powerful and tender. Words fail to capture the depth of my admiration. How wonderful it feels to have you doing this, she said, her voice a soft whisper. Filled with awe, I whispered, as long as you keep it from Julia, a thrill of secrecy coursing through me. Believe me, she wouldn't object in the slightest, but if you truly feel that way, I promise to keep it to myself. Good, for I doubt she would end me for this, I replied, my grip tightening on her soft breast as I poured more milk into the. I think that's good enough, she murmured, her voice a soft caress as she gently guided my hand away from her. With a gentle caress, she lowered her hand to her firm, flat stomach, just inches away from the waistband of her shorts. Igniting a spark of anticipation in the air between us, she sealed the jar of milk, her fingers deftly twisting the lid. She set it beside me on the sofa, and in that moment, she turned her head, her gaze rising to meet mine, a silent connection. As the tension ignited between us, she shifted on my lap, turning to face me, her body pressing against mine. In a close embrace, she gazed at me with a profound, unspoken understanding. A tangled web of emotions flowing between us as I pressed my palm firmly against hers. Stomach churning, she released my hand, her fingers trailing down as she unfastened her shorts with a soft, tantalizing click, the sound lingering in the air. The sound of the zipper resonated in the quiet, each minuscule tooth separating as she slowly drew it down, a seductive promise unfolding with every inch. My heart thundered in my chest, each beat echoing like a drum in the stillness of the moment. Raven, I began, but she silenced me with a gentle touch of her finger against my lips. Silence. Not a words should flow from your lips. I yearned to relish the warmth of your embrace, to immerse myself in the sensation of your arms. It's been ages since anyone has touched me the way you do, she whispered, her voice trembling with a mix of longing and vulnerability. Her voice emerged as a gentle whisper, enveloping me as she took hold of my wrist, guiding me forward. With a swift motion, she plunged deeper into the unknown, lifting one leg and allowing her foot to find its place over the top edge of the sofa. She spread her legs, guiding my hand with an undeniable intent toward the very center of her being. Raven, oh, please, don't let this moment slip away, she implored, her voice quivering with emotion. I just long to experience the warmth of another's touch for once. With a sense of yearning, a wave of pleasure washes over me, enveloping my senses in a warm embrace. Your fingers dance with a. There is a tenderness that captivates, yet when they grip, an undeniable strength emerges that commands attention. Julia's luck knows. With an intentional grace, she reached for the waistband of my sweatpants, drawing them down with a teasing tug. In the hushed stillness of the night, they discovered themselves wrapped in a moment that felt both fragile and eternal. Their hearts beat in synchrony as they drew closer, the world around them fading into the distance. I lingered in that moment, my gaze fixed on the flickering screen, oblivious to the fact that the movie had the subtle nuances that unexpectedly clicked. At long last, the curtain has fallen, and I have snuffed out the light. As I surrendered to the embrace of night, I donned my soft flannel pajamas, the fabric whispering gently against my skin. As I slid beneath the warm, inviting blankets, I found myself cocooned in a realm of comfort and dreams, while the morning light gently crept in. Yet it was the relentless beeping of the alarm that yanked me from my dreams, urging me to awaken and quell its incessant sound. With a heavy sigh, I forced myself out of bed, my feet dragging as I navigated to the bathroom, each step resonating with the gravity of the day that lay before me. Once I had completed my well-worn morning ritual, as I stepped back into the bedroom, I prepared to select my attire for the day. The fabric slipped away, and a chilling realization washed over me. I was not alone in this moment. With a swift motion, I shut the doors to the bedroom and bathroom, steeling myself for the chance that she might descend the stairs before I did. As the dawn unfurled, the chill in the air whispered of the cold morning to come, yet the promise of an unseasonably warm day lingered on the horizon. A warm day lingered on the horizon as I slipped into my lightweight thermal underwear, savoring the snug embrace against my skin before donning my well-worn camouflage hunting gear, prepared with determination to confront whatever the day had in store. I donned my boots and made my way to the kitchen, my voice resonating as I called out to the loft, beckoning Lena to awaken from her "Okay," she murmured, her voice thick with sleep. The sound of her footsteps echoed on the stairs, capturing my attention as she descended, still brushing the remnants of sleep from her eyes. She glided down the spiral staircase, unadorned. Her form radiant and laden with milk seemed even more accentuated than it had the previous night. With each step her chest lifted and a gentle yawn slipped from her lips as she called out, "I'll be there for breakfast in a minute," she declared, striding into the bathroom, leaving the door wide open behind her. The view from the kitchen, confined and cloaked in shadows, exuded an air of mystery as the tantalizing aroma of bacon crackled in the air and twirled in the pan as she appeared, her skin shimmering, unblemished by. With a swift motion, she retrieved a jar of peanut butter from the fridge. Settling at the kitchen table, she leaned in, her focus sharpening as she began to express milk from her right breast into the jar, the atmosphere thick with anticipation. "What, you could put some clothes on," I suggested, the air thick with unspoken tension. "Do you not find delight in the view of my unclothed figure?" Her voice scarcely disturbed the stillness as she uttered her words, her eyes locked onto the earth beneath me. "I never spoke those words. Do you genuinely find pleasure in it?" "Indeed, that could be the case. Indeed, there is more to contemplate regarding garments." "What fuels this inquiry? What deeper truths are hidden beneath the surface of that singular notion?" "A journey toward comprehension, an insatiable desire for illumination, or maybe an intrinsic inquisitiveness that calls forth answers linger in the atmosphere, heavy with expectation, while thoughts whirl in a frantic quest to decode the enigma of the question. The resonance of that word remains, beckoning a journey into the profound realms of thought and feeling as the girls are. As I settle in, the house enveloped in silence, I cast aside all pretense and fully embrace the liberation of my own. This place is not yours. It never was. This place does not belong to you. Facing my inner uncertainties, am I prepared for the reality? This place is not yours. That appears fair if it genuinely causes distress. I can undoubtedly discover something to dawn, yet what significance does it hold at this moment? The enticing aroma of breakfast drifts through the air, heralding a feast that is mere moments away. Ready yourself for the delight to come. Layers for the chill of the outside world await. If you keep going like that, you'll freeze to the bone. I warned her voice was tinged with urgency. "I've got plenty of warm clothes," she said, her gaze drifting to her left breast, which now appeared more substantial than the rest, a delicate change that captured both attention and intrigue. With a quick movement, I glided the sizzling. With bacon set aside, its savory aroma lingering in the air, I poured a vibrant mix of eggs into a fresh pan, prepared to metamorphose into a cloud-like scrambled delight. As the eggs danced and changed in the pan, she extended her hand towards the. Upon finishing her task, a wave of fulfillment enveloped her as she stood up. The air was thick with tension, her bare skin shimmering in the soft glow. With deliberate steps, she climbed the staircase. The anticipation of what lay ahead hung thick in the air. With a sense of purpose, I stepped into in the dimly lit shed. The air was thick with the scent of oil and metal. I approached the ATV, anticipation coursing through me as I had made the necessary preparations for the adventure that lay before us. "Are we ready to dive in?" I asked, watching her step out of the cabin, her breath visible in the crisp air, crafting fragile tendrils in the crisp morning breeze. "Just 10 minutes gone. I am convinced that this is the truth of the matter." "Confirmed. Are we stocked up on ammunition?" she asked, a mischievous grin spreading across her face. "Everything is prepared." I mounted the ATV, my gear secured firmly, and extended my hand. Extending my hand, I swiftly helped her ascend beside me as she climbed onto. The footrest shifted as she settled into the seat behind me, her gun and pack firmly held in one hand, steady and resolute. With a practiced motion, I slid the gun into the second holder, its weight a familiar comfort. The engine roared to life as I set off. As I moved towards the hunting spot, anticipation surged through my veins. The setting was nothing short of perfect, a tranquil haven. A pond cradled beside a vast food plot, a secret treasure in the embrace of nature. The weather held no sway over my experience, for I had crafted a robust elevated blind, ample enough for two, initially designed for thrilling hunting escapades. With my granddaughter, a future brimming with cherished moments from her past. The aged raven nestled against me, yearning for warmth as the frigid air cut through the atmosphere. The night was still as the vehicle crept along at a mere 15 miles per hour, and we came to a halt after about 100 yards. "We'll walk from here," I declared, my hand gesturing toward the yard, careful not to startle the deer lurking nearby. Reaching for her gun, she pulled it from the holder, passing it to her with a steady grip. "How far must we go?" she asked. She inquired, her voice laced with curiosity. "Just a mere 100 yards away. I need to maintain my distance, steering clear of any abrupt motions with the ATV that could send them darting into the shadows. Is there an enduring resentment towards the ATV, not entirely a threat, yet it lingers in the shadows. Mature bucks possess an instinctual awareness, deftly avoiding the territory." I seized my pack, extinguished the ATV's headlights and flicked on my crimson headlamp. For a fleeting moment, the world was swallowed. Through the enveloping darkness, we found ourselves disoriented, our eyes gradually adjusting as we navigated the winding path towards sustenance. The instant of awakening, no further justifications. The narrative breached its limits and soared into the realm of unseeing expectation, a tension palpable in the atmosphere it seemed to lack. It lacked a sense of grandeur amidst the vast expanse where 2x4 structures stood, resolute, their wooden floors creaking softly beneath the weight of untold stories. The metal siding glinted in the sunlight streamed through as the roof loomed overhead, a steadfast guardian against the elements. Each corner whispered secrets of resilience and purpose, beckoning the inquisitive to delve into the enigmas concealed within. On a morning such as this, the chill lingered in the air. Yet as the sun commenced its rise, the modest space stirred to life, wrapped in. The warmth from the gathering body stands in stark contrast to the biting cold outside, illuminated by the dim light of early fall mornings. Fashioned the enclosure with rich brown walls and a ceiling that appeared to absorb the warmth, enveloping the area in a snug embrace. Embrace against the crisp air. As I flung open the windows, a rush of anticipation filled the atmosphere, and we nestled into our spots poised to welcome the moments yet to come. I floated in that nebulous space between dreams and reality, my gaze held firmly, poised in a fragile equilibrium that seemed to stretch on for ages. As the first light of dawn began to seep into the horizon, the world outside stirred to life. Life unfolded as the sky morphed, swirling from an inky black to a haunting deep purple, then to a shadowy blue caressed by fiery orange before ultimately surrendering to a gentle pale blue as the first rays of sunlight gently kissed the treetops. The atmosphere was electricity crackled in the air, and the location was famed for its captivating charm. Yet, only the stillness lingered, a taut anticipation suspended in time. The air hung heavy as they anticipated the arrival of a deer. My gun lay silent and empty, a mere prop and a lesson meant for Lena. "It's breathtaking out here," she breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Indeed, all that remains is a deer," I murmured softly. "This place is nothing short of extraordinary. In this very spot, I have taken the lives of nearly a dozen deer. They come to the pond, lured by the shimmering allure of its water." "Oh," she whispered softly as we lingered in silence for what seemed like an eternity. The weight of the stillness bore down upon us until finally, I caught the initial glimmer of motion shattering the day's dullness. The air was thick with stillness, the leaves motionless. I found my attention captured by a faint shift in the distance, roughly 100 yards away, that gripped my senses with an electric charge. With a sudden jolt and a hushed breath, I leaned closer to Lena, my finger tracing the deer's path unfolded as it approached the food plot, each step a graceful ballet of. A young buck stood before him, embodying both curiosity and caution, its antlers resembling a delicate crown of slender, jagged tips, a striking juxtaposition to the grand, sturdy antlers of a. Experienced young bucks frequently plunge headfirst into circumstances with a wild, unrestrained fervor. The seasoned ones, shaped by the trials of time, would never dare to embrace the inevitable changes that come with the years. Survival demands a skillful navigation of treacherous missteps, such as the foolhardy decision to wander into an exposed field. As the hunters venture forth, what signs herald the onset of hunting season? Questions dance in your mind. Mind you, I can't say for sure, but it seems they have an extraordinary sense of awareness. The countenance of treachery. With a steady hand, Lena raised her rifle, the cool metal shimmering in the dappled light as she deftly maneuvered it. Through the front opening of the blind, her heart raced as she focused intently down the length of the clearing, locking in on every detail. Her gaze lingered on the majestic buck that stood just beyond the trees, as she repositioned herself repeatedly, meticulously, adjusting her stance to align the shot perfectly through her scope. I whispered, "Hold your breath until he shifts to the side." Whispered with urgency, "Observe how he inhales deeply, his nostrils flaring as he captures every scent that dances on the breeze, prowling through the dense underbrush, his eyes scanning the shadows, propelled by an innate urge to seek out a scent of currency he thinks he has detected, of her essence lingering in the air, a haunting melody." With a quiet sigh she observed the buck, her patience unwavering as it lingered in the shadows, moving at its own deliberate pace. A direct shot might prove effective, yet the looming risk of ruining prime meat by hitting the stomach weighed heavily on my thoughts. With a sudden movement, he steps into the unknown, shifting to the side. "Concentrate your aim just behind his shoulder and gently squeeze the trigger," I command. She murmured it under her breath, and, in a moment of quiet recognition, the deer elegantly pivoted to its right, exposing its flank as it glided toward the thick underbrush. In the thicket by the pond, I whispered to myself, "Any moment now," urging her silently to take the leap. The chance lingered just out of reach, the sound reverberated through the silence, a jarring and unexpected disruption that, cutting through the stillness, it was the sole sound that broke the quiet, a silence fractured by a singular, piercing sharpness. The click reverberates through the silence, devoid of explosion, absent of kickback, and free from any haze that might obscure. The instant Lena whispered a curse beneath her breath, she yanked the rifle back inside as she deftly worked the lever to chamber another round as she lifted the gun, preparing to take another shot. The buck vanished into a dense thicket suddenly obstructed her opportunity, snatching it away in an instant. "So, you chose not to load your rifle when we made camp?" I asked, working to keep the irritation from creeping into my voice. "I thought I did," she said, her brow furrowing in confusion, as if trying to grasp the meaning behind it all. With each labored breath, I struggled to keep my composure. "Perhaps he will return, I hold on to that hope," she murmured, her voice weighted, as she lowered the rifle, a deep sigh escaping her lips. Her lips parted, and after a moment's hesitation, she confessed, a faint blush coloring her cheeks. "Oops," I replied, leaning back with a heavy sigh, slipping from my lips, though I wouldn't have opted to seize that precious moment myself. For a novice, every opportunity is a treasure waiting to be claimed. For 10 long minutes, we lingered in silence, each ensnared in our own swirling thoughts. With a quiet determination, she shifted her weight and stood, her movements limited by the low ceiling. As she began to remove her jacket, the fabric whispered softly as it slipped away, "Are you all right?" I asked, "And I could have sworn you said it would be." "Freezing ain't hot in here," she replied, her voice infused with a palpable intensity that sent shivers down his spine. The heat enveloped us in a stifling embrace that felt as though it surpassed 70 degrees, despite the allure of refreshing air lingered just outside the confines, while the sun beat down with unwavering intensity. A romance transformed into a dreadful tale, emanating a false warmth that rendered the outside world a mere echo of the past. "I refuse to stay out there," she declared, letting her jacket fall to the floor as she deftly unlaced her boots. "What are you up to?" My voice barely found its way out. Lips a mere breath in the stillness, she tore off the long johns, eager to shed the layers that had clung to her like a second skin. "I'm roasting," she murmured, peeling off one boot and then the other as the heat wrapped around her, a heavy blanket that clung to her skin. With a cautious glance to confirm her surroundings, she rose, every movement deliberate and aware. Under the low-hanging metal roof above, she meticulously unbuttoned her camouflage pants, allowing them to gracefully slide down her legs. Before settling back down, her heart raced in the stillness of the moment. With determination, she rose again. As she slid her green thermal underwear over her hips and down her legs, each movement imbued with intention, My gaze was irresistibly drawn in. Irresistibly, every inch of her skin revealed. She settled beside me, completely bare, searching in the raw wear. The excitement of pursuit mingles with the fragility of the human condition. Yeah, I replied, my gaze ensnared in a trance. Will you take the plunge and will you accompany me on this journey? She playfully teased, peel back your layers, I mean hidden in the shadows, the deer lingers, blissfully unaware of our presence, while the world beyond remains oblivious to our existence. What is it, then? Unfolding, remove everything, strip away all pretense, it wouldn't be co-ed naked hunting if you didn't, she say, a mischievous grin dancing across her lips. Let's go. My thoughts spiraled, ensnared in a tempest of uncertainty as I wrestled with her unforeseen suggestion. This is wildly inappropriate. I murmured the words, barely escaping my lips, heavy with disbelief. Oh, that's no more inappropriate than you milking me while I lay on your lap, she retorted, asserting that experience was far more harrowing than. As we found ourselves vulnerable in the deer blind, a deep sigh slipped from my lips. My lips envisioned the burden of that secret suspended in the atmosphere, a quiet threat laced with tension. She laughed, hinting at secrets between us. But I made it clear boundaries mattered, would you? The words dripped with a mix of menace and intrigue. The room brimmed with unspoken possibilities as she infused a spark of mischief, dancing in her eyes locked. I dared, you wouldn't dare. My voice remained steady, even as the tension crackled in the air. Perhaps I will, but, yet, perhaps I shall refrain, a smirk dancing upon her lips as she leaned in closer. Her voice, laced with an undeniable confidence, coaxed me into silence with a playful tease. The challenge lingered in the air between us. So, let me clarify, if I strip down, you promise not to disclose that I was exposed with you, I pressed on, seeking clarity in the shadows of uncertainty. That's about right, she replied. Her grin remained steadfast, a flicker of mischief twinkling in her eyes, deep and captivating. A weary sigh escaped my lips. Very well, I find myself in deep trouble already. What else can we add? That's the spirit, she exclaimed, her smile radiant as I started to loosen my boots when the deceptions grew impossible to overlook. In a matter of moments, I changed quickly into lighter clothes to beat the heat, tossing the heavier layers aside, each item soaring out the window like a forgotten memory, leaving us both behind. Bare, save for our boots. Now it's genuinely a game of unclothed co-ed hunting, she said, laughter dancing in her voice. It seemed I had no choice but to respond with a hint of irony. She ascended to the limits of the cramped space, pivoted gracefully, and came to rest upon my lap, her back pressed firmly against my chest as she swung one leg over mine. A rush of electricity crackled in the atmosphere as she leaned closer, her warmth wrapping around us like a soft embrace, subtly directing my hands toward her breasts, igniting a spark that set the moment ablaze. I feel compelled to articulate some thoughts. Milk, and I would greatly appreciate it if you could handle that, she said, her voice tinged with. Was this urgency merely a ruse to draw me to this moment? I found it hard to believe, uttered, my tone laced with incredulity, as she offered a subtle shrug, her voice yielding, barely above a whisper. As our connection deepened, a relentless guilt began to claw at my insides, lurking in the shadows of in my own web of deceit. I discovered the bitter truth of my betrayal towards my wife, not merely once but on 2 occasions, and an unsettling thrill surged within me as I reveled in the treachery. What sort of man, what kind of husband had I become? Confession loomed over me like a storm. Clouds loom, heavy and unyielding, yet how can I ever hope to articulate the storm that brews within me? How can I protect Lena from the looming tempest of repercussions? We must turn back now, I exclaimed, suddenly breaking the silence that surrounded us. Raven insisted, her eyes locked onto the distant horizon where our clothes lay abandoned. The window, a whisper of urgency in her voice, prompts you to cast them aside, if only to grasp what lies ahead. Them back, I said, my voice laced with a delicate chuckle. But it's freezing out there. I'll turn to ice, she protested. My voice trembled with fear, yet I declared with unwavering resolve, if that's the price we must pay, then so be it. With a heavy heart, Raven finally rose, her movements slow and hesitant as she made her way to gather our clothes. In a swift motion, She cast the clothes into the darkness beyond the door, then slipped inside after them, enveloped by the shadows. A sense of urgency trembled slightly, the lingering cold outside seeping in, while the air inside provided little solace, especially. With the door ajar, she hurried to gather our belongings, nestling back into my lap, seeking the comfort of my presence. As she nestled against me, a surge of instinct compelled me to draw her closer, enveloping her in my embrace and holding her tightly. We lingered in that moment, my hand gently gliding over her skin, the air thick with unspoken tension until she shattered the stillness with a teasing whisper. "Keep doing that and you might just find yourself falling for me all over again." "Over again," she teased, a playful glint in her eyes. "Sorry," I mumbled, my voice barely audible. Barely above a whisper, I swiftly withdrew my hands, allowing them to settle on her waist. "I'm not," she said, her voice the ultimate strike, phrases that haunt my ears forever. Steady, she took my hands, drawing them back to her chest with a magnetic pull. I reveled in the moment, yet I couldn't. I can't help but feel that familiar rush of excitement surging through me once more upon our return. You may find yourself driven to love me again. I find myself questioning that notion. We are already entangled in this deep enough trouble as it is, I replied, my voice tinged with unease. Perhaps not, she chuckled, her voice laced with playful intrigue. We need to wash away the grime of the day. A shower beckons us both. Curiosity, tinged with excitement, dances in the air, as I contemplated the possibility of us both fitting into that tight shower stall. Julia and I responded. The weight of my confession crashes down on me like a tidal wave, the realization striking too late to retract it with a bright smile, she pulled me from the bench, her enthusiasm infectious as she led me toward the shower while I stood there. A whirlwind of thoughts consumed me. How had I found myself entangled in this web of uncertainty? The weight of the impending consequences loomed over me, dark and foreboding. We hurriedly slipped into our clothes, forgoing all hesitation. The undergarments seemed unnecessary given the exhilarating escapade that lay ahead on our return to the cabin. On the ATV, silence enveloped us, each of us ensnared in the depths of our own reflections as we stepped inside the inviting embrace of the wood stove's warmth enveloped us, a comforting welcome as we carried our gear through the door. Raven shed her clothes with a sense of urgency, her anticipation palpable in the air. Yet, rather than coming toward me, she ascended the spiral stairs, vanishing into the shadows of the loft above, urgency in every step. I've got something incredible for you up here, she shouted, her voice echoing. With a thrill coursing through me, I nodded and stepped behind her, prepared to follow wherever she might lead, the chill of the air wrapping around us. My boots and pants wrapped around me, the sole armor against the encroaching darkness, leaving everything else laid bare. And vulnerable, she lingered by the bed, a cunning smile dancing on her lips, her hands hidden behind her back as I flipped it over, my heart racing at the sight of the Tamil, scrawled in my wife's unmistakable handwriting as I tore it open. The envelope, a birthday card, slipped out, its edges crisp and inviting, the front. I whispered the words to my dear, beloved husband, and as I pried my eyes open, they fell upon the printed message, each word drawing me further into its enigma. If only I could reveal the words that truly encapsulate the essence of your remarkable spirit and the enchantment you infuse into a world brimming. In the midst of the ordinary, you shine as a solitary beacon, captivating my heart. My love for you is eternal, steadfast and unwavering, and limitless. Concealed beneath that layer, my wife had crafted a poignant note. In the shadows of anticipation, I have observed the slow disintegration of countless friendships, as the bonds of marriage falter and fade into the dusk of their existence. Reassembling the fragments, is it possible to restore trust? Life, overshadowed by the dimming light of our once vibrant connection, fills me with dread at the mere thought of such a fate befalling us. Kindness surrounds me in unexpected ways, and I am determined not to let our differences drive us apart. I comprehend this deeply, that we will eventually reunite in that unique manner, but for the moment, my attention is devoted to ensuring on this special day of yours, I offer you a gift of shimmering raven, a token of joy and indulgence. May it bring you happiness. In her presence, as you wish, your path unfolds before you. You have my blessing, all I. As the weekend wanes, I implore you to keep your love exclusively for me, for one question hangs in the atmosphere. Awaiting a response, I pondered whether my gift brought you joy. There is no need for anything more. On this special day, I share the depths of my heart, which belongs to you, as we celebrate this cherished moment together. Entered the realm on a day brimming with delight and the anticipation of fresh journeys. Happy birthday. So, last night and today, you were aware of this the entire time, weren't you? She inquired, a sly grin playing on her lips. Indeed, it has been weeks now. Are you ready to step into the day unfolds before me, a canvas rich with countless hours and boundless opportunities, inviting me to infuse it with excitement. With each fleeting moment, as I turned my eyes back to the card, a wave of disbelief enveloped me, and I shook my head in sheer astonishment. Why not, after all? Will you bring cake along? Patience, indeed, is a virtue, and the unfolding mystery shall soon unveil its secrets. With a playful glint in her eye, she stepped closer, a teasing smile dancing on her lips as she pressed her. The warmth of their body pressed against mine, our lips intertwined in a lingering, intoxicating kiss that sent shivers coursed down my spine. Would you care to join me for a shower? She breathed softly, her voice barely above a whisper as she pulled away from the kiss that had consumed them. I found myself contemplating the ideal means to convey my heartfelt appreciation to my wife for the remarkable present she has bestowed upon me.